It's an immense pleasure for me today to introduce the speaker of this afternoon, CA Annapurna Kabra. She shares the same name as my mother. Yeah. Annapurna Kabra is a fellow. I request Kavita ma'am to escort Madam Annapurna Kabra. And please hand over a bouquet to her.
Come to the front. Thank you.
Yeah. Madam Annapurna Kabra is a fellow member of the Institute of Chartered Accountants of India. She has completed her articleship under Rajkumar Hanchinal and Co. Gulbarga. She has completed her DISA and DIMR courses as conducted by Institute of Chartered Accountants of India. She has contributed articles on VAT, GST, and all indirect taxes. She is a professional she writes professional journals in Bangalore branch newsletters, Karnataka State Chartered Accountants Association newsletters, SIRC newsletters, and Indirect Tax Committee of ICAI. She has co-authored a book on guide on VAT audit and value-added taxes in Karnataka. She has co-authored the book on VAT audit for Institute of Chartered Accountants of India. She has co-authored the background material of indirect taxes of ICAI. She has authored the technical guide on KVAT for ICAI. She has co-authored the book on discussion papers on transitional issues towards GST. She has assisted in drafting background materials on GST for ICAI and technical guide to GST audit of ICAI. She has co-authored the book on refund under GST to KCAA. She has contributed e-lectures on various topics in VAT and GST to Indirect Tax Committee of ICAI. She is the faculty to the GST certification course as conducted by ICAI, and she is a member of Bangalore Study Circle of ICAI. She is a committee member for development of study modules for Karnataka State GST officers, and she is regular faculty to Fiscal Policy Institute. Apart from that, she has addressed a gathering of chartered accountants, tax practitioners, dealers, students, and departmental officials on indirect taxation matters, including GST in various forms. She is practicing in Bangalore and a proprietor of Annapurna and Associates. I present before you the eminent speaker of this afternoon. Ma'am, all to you.
Good afternoon, everybody. Good afternoon to all the wonderful and beautiful ladies of the day. I think we should have a clap for ourselves today so that it awakens after the food, right? We have to celebrate this day, actually. The morning thoughts which was given by Sandhya and by all these panelists, you believe it or not, the thoughts which got suppressed in my mind and in my heart has got elevated, actually. I was thinking why this topic was given to me today, GST. Something out of the box, I felt like. Because we all went into the flow of our journey, and I think every one of us have a faced a lot of challenges, and I think a lot of my seniors are there better than me who are better experienced on this journey actually. And I think everybody, if they give an opportunity, everybody has something to say today, right? Yes or no? Panelist has just represented us, but everybody has crossed our journey. And a few minutes I will take of you, though it is not a technical. I just want to share a small journey of my life, so that if somebody thinks on that, I think they can look into that. It's nothing great we have done. It's just a small part of a journey which I would like to share. And if it get to somebody else, I think that will help you out. Basically, this profession itself was a challenge for me. I have been born and brought up in such a small village where not even schools were there. Then my parents were very worried for my education. So they sent, when I was 7 years, they have sent me quite far to stay in some of the relative house only to pursue my education. So that was a place where I was not very happy to stay, but only because of education, I have to stay in that place. So that day itself, my journey started to pursue for this education, taken this education as a part of my passion of my life. Then after completing your education, though you don't spend much time with your parents because of the sacrifice which you have to do, because to pursue this education, always there was a dream in my mind, something I have struggled so much. I have been away from my parents only because of this qualification and because of this education. Something I should see that my other fellow members should also get benefited by this. They should also understand the journey that if you think you can, I think you can. And being brought up in a very small village, I think we were like a pond or a river, where only we were brought, I think where I did my articleship, you believe it or not, we did not have one company audit also. It was all this individual return filing and partnership return filing. It's okay, I did not take it as such. I just enjoyed that 3 years of learning, and I completed my education. And then luckily when I was writing my finals, I got married to fortunately or unfortunately, I got married to a chartered accountant. So then the journey began, but just not to say, I got married to my responsibility family because I was the first daughter-in-law of the family, and I was given a challenge to handle your profession with your ailed mother-in-law, who was a bedridden. So I will take this as a journey, because see, if you are a professional, that doesn't mean that you can run away from your responsibilities. I took it as a challenge, and it was not a physical ailment, it was a mental ailment, what she was suffering. And I said, yes, let us take this as a challenge. And I gave up some of my years, and I saw that let me bring out an environment at a home in such a manner that all this, our mental stress, what we are carrying today, I think lot of today we are seeing the statistics of the depression, what it is going because of the stress and all. I think that has to be resolved at the home. If we resolve at our house itself, I think your surrounding will definitely develop it. So I took it as a challenge. I said, okay, I have to handle my family, I have to handle this profession. How to do now? Which company will give me a job for 2 hours or 4 hours? Do we get a job? I don't think so. Now you might get, but 18, when I started my journey 17 years or 16 years back, I don't think so anybody was ready to give a job for 2 hours or 4 hours. And I don't think so we might justify that job also if I would be working for 2 hours or 4 hours. But that passion was there for me. That no, I have to see that I have struggled a lot to do complete this education. I have to do something. Now what to do? Somehow I tried to reach a few of the firms and requested them, you pay or you don't pay. Or you pay it like a stipend, you pay very nominal, but you see that you keep me engaged for 3 to 4 hours. That was the way I started my journey, and I think this 4 hours, you believe it or not, I try to see that maximum I utilize that 4 hours. Because I know I have only 4 hours with me, I have to see that what best I can do, because after 4 hours, there is something waiting for me. So within that 4 hours, I have developed to write something whichever I know. Whatever I learned today, I used to put it in the words. I think that got converted into articles and books today. And I was able to see that where there is a will, there is a way. I think we all learned that. I think that helped me out. This 4 hours, I will never, I used to see a lot of my colleagues who are working in a very big companies and they are flourishing like anything, but I never try to compare with anybody. I love myself. I want to do something for my happiness, and I don't carry anything as an obligation. I only do it as a passion. I think that gives you an energy to move forward. I think you believe it or not, most of us would have got the thought anytime, oh, I would have been like her. Do you feel or no? Every day we carry that, yes, oh shit, I missed that opportunity. Oh shit, I would have done this, I would have done that. I was just talking in the lunch break, one of the chartered accountant who is very good in painting, she told after joining the CA, I have lost that passion. I think we should not lose our passion. I think that is what the message I want to pass on. Along with this profession, I think we can continue our passion, and you believe it or not, that will refresh your energy. You agree or not, madam? And please see that you give some of your time for other energies also, physical energy and spiritual energy, and I think that will raise you and make you out of this stress. Second thing is, I was just listening to the panelist during the lunch. Something I pointed out some article. I have the habit of writing. It's very simple words I try to write, and whatever I feel, I put it in words. Whether good, bad, anything. Like 3 days back, we had Teachers' Day. I want to send some message to my teachers. I don't know how to write. I just took a pen, started writing whatever I felt to write for them. See, what I meant to say is, don't suppress your feelings. Don't suppress your thoughts. Just try to put it in your words, or just try to share with somebody. I think it releases a lot, and you will enjoy the life better. So I think that is what I want to pass on the message. Can I read, if you all permit? I'll just come to the topic, but just give me 2 minutes what I wrote for this women's life, especially pertaining to this balancing life, actually. It is well said that beautiful women draw strength from troubles, smiles, during distress, and grow stronger with lot of hopes and prayers. We celebrate every year Women's Day, and make ourselves special. But according to me, every day is a Women's Day. Every day is a special day for us. We lead our life with full of challenges of being handling the working life and family life. Women are continuously challenged by the demands of full-time work, either at a home or an office. Even the working mothers, the work-life balance is one of the life's greatest challenge, as they suffer from more than their own share of work. You agree or you don't agree? I think morning she was saying 120%. I think I agree with that. We try to see that everything, we try to please ourselves. No, I cannot miss the celebration of Krishna Janmashtami. I cannot miss the meeting of the client. I cannot miss my yoga class. So we try to merge so many things in a day. How it is possible? Only because God has gifted us with a superficial energy. And I think we are the better example for a multitasking. Can you expect that multitasking with the men? I don't think so, what we are able to handle. So many times we cook and we try to. You agree or you don't agree? We advise the client and we try to do our all hands are always busy with some other acts. I think that is the reason I think we have to praise ourselves and we have to thank ourselves for this. And I really always feel that I thank God for giving me a birth as a woman and not as a man. I know nobody man is there. No, not like that. I feel it's a special gift. It's a special power. It's a special responsibility. And it's a special gift, I think, which Divya madam is carrying today. And we all would have got this gift actually. Only we can do this. So we are blessed. We should love ourselves, we should respect ourselves, right? So rather than this, nothing else I think I can tell. And just one more para on this. Many women have compromised their professional life to manage the family life effectively. I know few of the professionals who are rank holders. And they have just given up their profession to please their family life. And I know few of the professionals who are semi-qualified and who are such excellent in their work, but they are not able to encash that qualities. They have just suppressed that jaane do nahi hoga mere se. I think that jaane do nahi hoga you have to elevate that. Kyun nahi hoga? मेरे पास जब 4 घंटा था तो मैं कुछ लिख सकती हूँ, तो आप 8 घंटे में क्यों नहीं कर सकते हो? आई थिंक दैट इज़ वॉट वी हैव टू. ठीक है, सुबह टाइम नहीं है, दोपहर में टाइम नहीं है, शाम में टाइम नहीं है, तो यू कैन डू इट इन नाइट. सो वॉट आई मेंट टू से इज 24 hours are hours. You have to know how to manage this 24 hours. And many times, you believe it or not, that 4 hours of work when we are going for that job, they used to give us some work which you have to carry to home and complete that. Yes or no? That part-time was always full-time. But somehow you were happy that he is allowing you to work for 4 hours. So how to encash that 4 hours? Next, you have the time, get up early morning, just spend 1 hour for that, work extra in the night. I think that can get compensated with 6 to 7 hours and you can do a productive life. Yes, not talking much on this. And I just tell you one more instance how I came to this IDT life. During my articleship, I never got any opportunity to do any one return also. Because always they say sales tax to settlement law hai. Yes? So they used to not allow us to represent any officer like madam was sharing today. We never got any opportunity to do any sales tax work during our articleship. Then I was more into income tax and audit, and somehow I continued my journey here with income tax and audit. Luckily in 2005, when the VAT was introduced, I was very passionate. I got one of the client who wanted an advice because I was practicing. I got one of the client who had one of the big client who want to have a consultancy on indirect taxes. And I wanted to take that client. I don't want to miss that opportunity to take that client. So what I did is, I just took the facts and I told I will consult with my senior and I'll get back to you. The day when before consulting your senior, I think you have to do your homework. So the day when I started to read that lot, the day when I started to relate the facts, I think that day it clicked my mind, I think IDT I should work upon. This is something passionate for me. So somehow I entered into this indirect taxes, and from last 16, 17 years, to the extent possible, I'm trying to do some work on this IDT. And luckily from last 6 years, we all are like together going into the journey of this GST law. So I think it's not something IDT is something we are doing any great. But what I want to say is, within your limited constraint, within your constraints, within your time limit, whatever is available, within your situations around, within your whatever going around, your physical issues, mental issues, whatever it is going around, please don't leave your passions. Don't give an excuse or saying, nahi, because of this, I'm not doing this. Because of this, I'm not able to do the work. Because these, that, and all are never ending, I'll tell you. This keeps on going. So please try to spend few hours for the profession and see that we do the best in our society, right? So with this, let me come to the topic. I think I just picked up this, though today is not an International Women's Day, but I just want to say that every day is a Women's Day to all the strong, intelligent, talented, and simply, or any other word I think if I've left out, please tell me. I think everything is went to all these wonderful women today. Don't ever forget that you are loved and appreciated. We doesn't get that appreciation very easily. Yes? You agree or you don't agree? How much ever we are putting the efforts, the appreciation takes a lot of time. So anyway, we love ourselves, we appreciate ourselves, and I think with that we can begin the journey of the topic what has been allotted. Yes, shall I proceed on the topic? Anybody has something to say in one line? Something, anybody wants to say something on this journey?
Appreciation because it is expected out of us.
Yes.
That is why no appreciation.
Yes.
And nowadays I do self-appreciation.
Yes, I think that is the right spirit of them. That is the right spirit actually.
Okay.
Yeah, that is enough for us. You
And
don't wait for anybody to appreciate you. Just be self-appreciated. Love yourself. I think you will enjoy the beautiful journey of this life, you know.
I'll go and self-appreciate myself before my family members.
Yeah, that's a good spirit. That's what I want actually. That should be there. Yeah. Yes.
Just say good job done after everything you do. You feel
Yes. Yeah.
Just say good job done after everything what you do. You feel so relaxed actually.
Yeah. If they appreciate, you will feel little more motivated. But it's okay. किया तो भी ठीक है, नहीं किया तो भी ठीक है. Yes. चलो. Let us start. Come to the top. Yes, madam. Something you want to say? Yes, that's the way you should lead your life actually. You write whatever you feel actually. See, you need not be a poet. You need not be a writer. You just express your feelings. That's enough for. And I think that is the best way. What I found in my 17 years of experiences, we have so much to tell. We have so much to write, but we don't know to write. We don't know whether we just don't write. We just enjoy that situation. We learn something and we forget also. That should not be there. Please, everybody, I'm requesting, writing book or writing article is not a very great job. The more important is try to express what you know on that. Everybody knows something. So let us try to put it in the words so that others will get benefited, and I think they will learn better from that aspect what you have experienced. And I morning the panelists which they were sharing, it's not something they were sharing from their any books. They were sharing the real experiences of life. That's why we were able to touch our life actually, right? If they would, so I think that is what the real spirit of the life, I think we should take it up. Yes. Now I think I have to come back to the topic, otherwise that's a never-ending topic, yeah. So, but thank you for sparing some time to share and to talk something on this. I think the first slide which I brought is a question mark. What is this questions describe? Can anybody tell here? What is this question? Is it something confusion? Curiosity? What else these questions can state? I think you can match the expression and can you match the expression, something eyes expression, or can you just look into that? Huh? What future hold? Any other thought? Question. Yes. Yes. Any other thought? Yes. Lost. Anything else? Huh? Confused state of mind. Huh? Curiosity, yes. Anything? Huh? So many questions. Yes. Trying to relate. Okay. Am I right? Yes. That's the point I wanted to check. Yes. You are always in this stage most of the time. And I think now is the time. That is the point I just want to put a question to you, and let us now come to the topic. I think today I'll be just trying to share a few compliances perspective during this tax audit. I think most of us are practicing income tax, GST, or any other law, but this today perspective will be how important it is for you to look into the aspects of GST while doing the tax audit. So I'm not going into in-depth of the GST law because that will be a separate session. I'm just trying to link with the income tax. Why I brought this GST into the income tax actually? Why it is important to know the GST during doing income tax? Because income tax is income tax. Why GST is so important to understand today for doing tax audit? Why? Because today, I don't know few of them you know or not, lot of integrations of data are going around between the income tax, GST, company law, and any other laws. Lot of data are getting merged. And with that merging of the data, they want to analyze the reconciliations of the data, what you have furnished with the GST department and the data furnished to the income tax department. So that's the reason few of the clauses are inserted in the tax audit report itself to furnish the details pertaining to the GST law. But how to report something pertaining to the GST law when I'm practicing a income tax law? So I think I'll just try to give a basics on that, just try to throw upon the important aspects so that I think you can understand in a better manner. Basically, law is saying, okay, you have to maintain the books of accounts, no doubt, because ultimately your books of accounts are the one on which you are going to rely. The same books of accounts should be used for GST. The same books of accounts will play a role for income tax or any other law. So GST also very specifically specify that you can maintain your books of accounts, whether it is electronically or manually, and different types of business is for different type of business, there is a requirement to maintain a different type of books of accounts. Basically, in income tax, we don't have that, but in the GST, we have that aspect that if you are a works contractor, there is a separate set of books you have to maintain. If you are a manufacturer, you have to maintain a separate set of books of accounts. If you're a service provider, so I think that also you have to understand, because that will be your source of information to furnish the information in your tax audit report. So that is what I try to bring out here. And what are the details? I don't know, I have the books, but I don't know what data I have to extract to understand the GST for the purpose of tax audit. So I've just bifurcated certain details. It's like a checklist I have prepared so that when you're doing a tax audit of any registered person, please look into this aspect of imports, what are the supplies on which they are paying the taxes, what are the transactions where they are not paying the taxes, what are the stock of the goods, what is the monthly production accounts, what are the quantitative details they are maintaining, what are the advances received, details of tax payable, how many tax invoices are issued, whether it is issued as per the law, complete address of your premises where the goods are stored, like whether those additional place of business are added in your registration. I think these are the important documents. You should also look into that whenever you are doing your tax audit. I know this is something, is a source of documents which you have to collect when you are doing a GST audit. What are the registers which will be required from the GST perspective is basically this sales order, all these transport documents, packing list documents, bank receipt vouchers, shipping bills, stock requisitions, all this gate pass, all the job worker. Why these documents are important? Because every transaction is having a different impact of GST. So that's why we have to get these informations to disclose in our tax audit reports. I've just added, I think this is more self-explanatory, but I think I just tried to prepare a basic checklist so that when you're going for any audit, I think you can pick up this list and try to get these documents for verifications. But what are the issues we are having with these books of accounts, especially when you're doing an audit? Because in many instances, we have seen that head office is maintaining the books of accounts and branch and godowns are not maintaining the detailed books of accounts. So I think you have to be very careful, especially to look into where the books of accounts are maintained and how it is verified. And we are able to see that there are different software for billing, inventory, productions, financial books. So whether it is reconciled from the GST perspective or not, right? So I think that is also you have to look, because every data throws up a separate informations. For example, inventory informations, if you are collecting, you have to see in that inventory how much has gone as a free sample, how much is lost, how much is destroyed. I think you will get all this information from a respective software to analyze from the GST perspective. And there are, in many instances, we have seen that there are online bookkeepings and offline bookkeepings. I think that is quite explanatory to get the information. So these are the certain ways where you can access the information and try to get from the GST perspective. And few of the entities are maintaining partially electronically and partially manually. I think you have to be more careful in those instances. When they are maintaining partially manually and partially more detailed verification is required. And I think now I am able to see that 99% of the entities are able to maintain electronically. So very few entities are there who are working on that. So I think this is what I just want to get it. I was actually thinking whether I should put entries or not, because that is all we know. But only because of GST perspective, I've brought these entries, because there will be a different situation for GST, there will be a different situation for income tax. I'll just give you a very simple example. If you receive an advance from the customers, are you paying the GST on that? In the case of services, are you paying GST on that? Yes. But are we accounting that as your turnover in your profit and loss account? No, right? Because that become your current asset item. But as you're paying the tax on that, how are you going to reconcile your turnover, what you're disclosing in your profit and loss account, with the turnover for the purpose of GST? So I have seen in few of the entities where there are certain errors in the accounting entries. I'm not questioning on that, but because of this difference of time of supply for the income tax, and there's a different time point of taxation for GST, there are certain errors which has happened in the accounting entries, which has led to a different taxes for the entity. So we have to be very careful to pass on the entries in the books of accounts, especially the professionals who are dealing with the financials finalization. I think this will play a very important role to understand how to not like how to pass the entries, but whether the entries is required or not. I think you have to take a call from the GST perspective. So for example, if the goods are gone on sale on approval basis, as per the GST law, if the goods are not received back within 6 months, it is treated as supply. Whereas for income tax purpose, it is not so. Yes or no? So GST law plays a separate role and income tax role play a separate role. But we should have a control sheet to understand what is this difference. I think you can get that control only when you pass an entry for that. So that I think I just passed on entry for the understanding purpose. And next aspect is consignment agent. If you do a stock transfer from one state to the other state or one person to your own entity, your other branches, for GST law purpose, it is stated as supply. If you are making from one state to other state, it is taken as supply, where you are liable to pay the GST. You are transferring to your own entity, say from Karnataka to Hyderabad, if you are transferring, stock transfer I'm talking, you are liable to pay GST. But for income tax purpose, it is not at all a sale. It is just your stock movement from one place to the other place. So I think all these items we have to look into from the GST perspective. It is only a transfer entry, and there is also a supply where the goods are moving from principal to an agent. If the goods are going from principal to agent, for the GST purpose, it is treated as supply, even though there is no consideration which is flowing from the agent. But for income tax purpose, we account it only when the sale is made by an agent. So different accounting impact is there for the different transaction. So you should know on this transactions, right? Then type of discounts we are having today. I have seen in few of the entities where they are netting off these discounts, right? And few of the entities are disclosing as a discount income. Are you able to understand the aspect of this discounts? So what is the implication for the GST is, only if the discount is shown in the invoice, you will get a reduction from your turnover, or if it is agreed with the customer, then only you will get a deduction from the discounts. Otherwise, there is no deduction for the purpose of GST. Whereas for the income tax, you still get a deduction. That condition is not applicable for the income tax purpose. Then a lot of subsidies are given today. These subsidies, only the subsidies which are given from the central government and state government are excluded from the pricing for the purpose of GST. Whereas when you are going to calculate for the income tax purpose, it is treated separately by adjusting that price which has been passed on to your buyer, right? Which has affected your prices. So I think there is a separate accounting standard also for this government grant. All those aspects you have to look whether it is a capital subsidy or revenue subsidy, right? Then one more aspect is goods sent on job work. What is job work actually? What is job work? Like for example, I can correlate for our women's. When we go to a jewelry shop, our jewelry is broken, we give to a jeweler. We say, please get it repaired or please get it polished. Something we give that. What he will do? He will give to a job worker. Who is a job worker? Job worker is a person who is working on the treatment or process belonging to a goods to a other person. So he is a person who is only doing his work, job work. So he is doing some work on the goods belonging to a other person. So that is known as job work. So in the GST law, if principal has supplied the goods to a job worker, and if the job worker has not returned the goods within 180 days was there in excise. For GST it is 1 year. If the goods are not coming back within 1 year from the place of job worker, it is treated as supply. Whereas the income tax doesn't bother that. Yes, it is only a stock movement again. So I think these are the things where we have to look at special attention, especially from the GST perspective, because I think many of the time we have seen that lot of tax auditors have given a suggestion for GST implication. One of the recent PG, one of the client is running lot of PGs. And there is an exemption that if it is a renting of residential dwelling, it is exempted from GST. If it is not a residential dwelling, it is liable for GST. Now the issue is whether these PGs are liable for GST or not. Do you think this PG as a residential dwelling, or do you think this PG as a commercial establishment? That's what I say. Every issue in GST is a matter of interpretation. Because when the law was framed, I think you agree or don't agree, most of the amendments which has taken place from last 5 to 6 years, maximum amendments I think you find in the GST law. It is never allowed you to breathe itself. It did not make us to enjoy any celebration. That is the way, because what happens as soon as the amendment starts, I think we have to work on that. Immediately we have to see the impact, because IDT impact is more larger. If you make a small mistake of 18% to 5%, just see the implication. How much it is? 18 minus 5, ultimately it is a 13%. Can you say government that no, I have collected only 5%, I'm not going to pay 18%? Can you take that excuse? I don't think so anybody will do. You agree or you don't agree? It's just a simple task, but it requires a lot of your interpretation. So what I'm saying is, if we are not able to conclude on that, we have to understand and then conclude, because it is having this indirect tax is something which is not paid from your pocket. You are only acting as an agent who is collecting the tax and paying to the government, right? So I think you have to be careful. I know it's little sleepy time. Something, shall we clap for ourselves again? I know, it's very, just clap for yourself, not for me, just clap for yourself. Because I can understand the most challenging task for the speaker is before lunch and after lunch also. Before lunch, they will be just waiting when this madam will stop, and then we can go for food, and after, it's challenging. Anyway, let us try to learn and enjoy the topic actually, right? So this is what I just want to add up for the job work. This is the most common thing I think we have to look on, this sale of assets. This is the one which we miss out. We just try to account profit or loss in the books of accounts, but we many times miss the implication of taxes on the sale of assets. I just had an experience of one of the entity where they have sold the motor vehicles, huge motor vehicles. They have made a sale and they paid the 18% on that sale value. But they were not aware that there was one notification. There was a notification that is 1/2018 issued on 25th January 2018, which stated that the realizable value minus written down value, you are required to pay GST only on the difference value. What happened now? You paid more GST, but how much you are going to pay to the government? You have to pay the whole 18% what you have collected? Or can you just say only on the difference value I will pay to the government? No. You are collected in the form of tax. It has to be deposited in the form of tax. There is a special section 76, right? So you have to be very careful on this implication. Unnecessary, you end up paying a excess tax because of ignorance of this section, right? So I think you have to read, you have to understand the implication. And the second aspect is, if you are selling to your related person, say it's my employee, I have given the car to my employee. Is it liable? Why? Why it is liable? I'm not going to collect any consideration from my employee. I have just sold the car to my employee.
It will be treated as a consideration, deemed consideration.
How? Gift. And gift up to 50,000 is exempted. So above 50,000, you are liable to pay. I have not collected any consideration. But why I am liable to pay? Because employee is also part of my organization.
It's a benefit you are giving to employees.
Yeah, it's a benefit, it's a perquisite, you can say. Yes. But is it liable for GST? There was a recent circular issued in 2022 where they have stated that if any perquisites are given to an employee, and if it is not forming part of your employment contract, you are liable for GST. So whoever is wanting to enter into an employment contract, be careful on that, be clear in your writing of agreement, especially who are handling such areas of agreements. You have to write, otherwise it will have an implication of GST of how much? 18% or 28%, we don't know. So unnecessary, you will end up paying a GST on that. So whenever you are entering into an agreement, whenever you are finalizing your salaries and other things, please be careful, be in writing so that you can save the taxes and you can work upon that, right? Next. Yeah, ma'am, you were asking something? What? When you are selling that asset? You are selling after 5 years. So what is the real? Okay, after 5 years. So you have to see what is your written down value for that asset, and also you have to see the market value for that asset. Please understand the relationship between employer and employee is like a related party transaction. So for the related party transaction, you should always look into the valuation rules. That is rule 27 to rule 31. So which is very clear that in such scenario, you have to look whatever is the market value for that car or your written down value, whichever is higher. Yes, GST has to be paid, no doubt on that. Only the valuation rules is specified in rule 27 and rule 28. Yes, it is applied. That's why you have to be very careful in your agreement, especially after last year, because lot of disputes are going on, especially the supply of food to these employees, insurance policies for the employees, this giving all these perquisites to employees, travel perquisites to the employees. So I think you have to specify that, yes, this forms part of my employment contract. And when there is anything given between employer and employee in the form of salary, and it is forming part of your employment contract, then only there is no GST. We are thankful that there is no GST on salary. Right? Yes or no? I think otherwise you would have taken only penny to our house after paying all these other taxes.
GST on that, if you leave a job and then there is, you have to pay, no?
Yeah, notice pay recovery. There is a ruling now. There is a ruling that you are no more employer and employee, so you need not pay the tax. They have clarified. That issue was there. Now they have clarified it. Right? So I think these are the instances which we face. So especially your contractual obligations plays very, very important role in the GST. What you have agreed with your buyers, what you have agreed with your vendors, what you have agreed with your employees will decide your taxation. It cannot go beyond your contractual obligations, right? But always remember, statutory obligations will override the contractual obligation. I'll give a simple example. I have an agreement with my vendor where I enter into an agreement that I will make a purchase from you, but I will make a payment after 2 years. That is my contractual obligations. But what is a statutory obligation? If you don't make payment within 180 days to your vendor, you have to reverse your input tax credit. So which is overriding? Statutory obligation is overriding your contractual obligations. So you have to be very careful. You cannot say, no, my contract is for 2 years, I will not pay. You cannot do that way, right? So these are the certain important things which you have to look. And accounting for expenses, very important is you have to bifurcate. You have to know which is eligible, which is ineligible. That is the first thing you have to learn for GST. If you do, especially for the expenses purpose, you have to understand whether this is eligible or ineligible, and how we bifurcate direct and indirect expenses. Similarly, you have to bifurcate this eligible and ineligible. What are the common expenses? What do you mean by common expenses? Where you can, yes, where you can identify pertaining, where you, cannot identify pertaining to the taxable transaction and exempted transaction. That's why we pick up certain common credit which is pertaining to the taxable as well as exempted. There is something called as 5% for non-business. I'll give you one very simple experience which I faced in one of the client case. In one of the, during the service tax regime, I was just handling one of the IT company where the department has visited. They were quite compliant company. They were doing all the returns, paying taxes. Everything was more or less compliant. But they were they have given the mobile phones to all the employees, right? So that it's a part of the employment contract, or I don't know how it was, but they have given the mobiles to all the employees. Then when the department visited, they said, no, we are not going to give this expenses as eligible. It is not at all an eligible credit, so we will reverse the whole credit. Then the employer said, no, it is used in the course of my business, and these phones are used for the purpose of business, so I will, it is eligible. But the officer said, no, you have to prove. What the officers are saying, the department is saying, you have to prove how much is for business purpose and how much is for non-business purpose. Can we prove ourselves how many business and not? It is not possible. It's very subjective. So this was a big issue for us, Then the department is also not clear to what extent it is non-business. We don't know, employee would have spoken 8 hours for his personal purpose and 2 hours for business. We don't know. So that was quite subjective. Then we took this suggestion to the government. We said, please come out with some percentage, especially in such cases where we are not able to identify how much is for business purpose and how much is for non-business purpose. I think that suggestion got implemented in the GST law, where they have stated that to the extent of 5%, you can take it as a non-business purpose. Irrespective of you would have used 90%, government doesn't bother, or 2%. Government has come out with a percentage of 5% wherever you are not able to bifurcate how much is meant for business purpose and non-business purpose. So don't start reversing all your credit for 5%. Don't do that. Only the credit which you think that there is some personal involvement is there, then you can try to look into that reversing of 5%, right? Then next is the most important is this reimbursement of expenses. This is the most common in our offices we see. Many times we incur for our client, right? And along with our professional bill, we also recover the expenses. Is it liable? Is it liable or not liable? I'll give you 2 instances. You just tell me in 2 instances whether it is liable or not liable. First instances, client has given me an assignment of registration under a specific law. Right? To get registered under that specific law, I have to pay, say, 20,000. So he has paid me 20,000. I have deposited those 20,000 to the statutory authority. This is the first instance. So I will reimburse from whatever I have paid to the statutory authority, 20,000, I have reimbursed from my client. This is the first scenario. What is the second scenario? I am rendering the service. Along with that, I can claim my travel, my food, my stay. So I am claiming my all these expenses which I have incurred in the course of providing the services. Tell me in first instances whether it is liable for GST or not. On behalf of the client, and you are acting as a pure agent. Wherever you are able to fulfill all the conditions of the pure agent which has been mentioned in valuation rules, you need not pay any GST on that. But where you are not able to fulfill the conditions of this pure agent, you are liable. So in second scenario, you are not a pure agent. I'll give you in first instance, instead of 20, I have collected 25. I have paid 20,000 to agent. So am I liable on 5,000 or 25,000? Huh? 25,000. Only 5,000. One of the condition is that whatever you have collected should be paid to the government. You should not retain any margin. You should not retain any addition to that. If you are retaining that 5,000 for you, it means the whole value is 25,000.
So we have to show that in a turnover, in exempt turnover, or we do not have to show?
Nothing. It's not at all a turnover. It's only a reimbursement of expenses. But so, and many times we have seen, especially this real estate clients, where they have to deposit for all these BESCOMs and all other statutory authority, they cannot quantify, right? So they have to collect more and they deposit, so they end up paying the taxes many times where it was not required, but because of this, they are liable to pay. And I've seen in some of the association also, where they collect the electricity bill from the tenants, right? I think some of you would have experienced that. They collect the electricity, they pay the electricity bill on behalf of tenants or the person who was staying in that society, and then they try to get reimbursed from this members. Is it liable or not liable? Are you able to understand?
If they are acting as an agent, then not liable.
That is what, how are you going to prove that? Whatever you have collected, this you have to pay. If you, but basically we are able to see that there are certain rulings which has come out saying that you are liable to pay because you are acting as a facilitator for that person to collect and pay the taxes. So that is what the rulings of the law. Different school of thoughts are there on this issue, but you have to litigate for that, saying that it is a pure agent or you are not a provider of that services. And they have given exemption only for supply of electricity energy. So the exemption is given only to the transmission utility. They have not given to any other taxable person. So we are not a transmission utility, so I cannot enjoy that exemption. So accordingly, I end up paying the GST. So there are different school of thoughts on this, right? So this is what I just want to highlight on that. Then majorly please understand the GST law is like a diagnosis of the whole profit and loss account and balance sheet. It is not only sales and purchase. It is the diagnosis of the whole profit and loss account, all your balance sheet items, and I think many a times we miss paying the GST on this kind of transactions. Bank interest, dividend, discount received. Is GST liable on bank interest? No, there is a exemption in 12/2017. Profit on sale of assets? Are you liable on profit on sale of assets? It's only liable on realizable value. Miscellaneous income? I think when we finalize, we have sometimes called as miscellaneous. What is that miscellaneous income? Don't write just as a miscellaneous income. Have a nature of what is that miscellaneous income. Just don't inflate your profit without any basis. Duty drawback received, no implications. Sale of scrap, yes, you have to identify. There is no special entry for scrap. You have to identify which type of scrap it is, and according to that you have to go to the respective classification and test the levy of tax on that, right? So that is what, or else you can go to the residual entry also. Bill to ship to, this is also one of the, what is bill to ship to? You are just acting as a agent between a vendor and your receiver. You are also a supplier, but it is a deemed supplier, right? So you have to just look into that. There is no documentation for that, but you have to generate the document and recognize your tax liability. Shall I give an example for bill to ship to? Can you answer me? Yes? See, I have my vendor in Hyderabad. My customer is in Bangalore. I am also in Bangalore. I got an order from the Hyderabad person to supply 1,000 laptops to C company in Bangalore. Which tax I should pay? Where the goods are moving? Where the goods are moving? Bangalore to Bangalore. Say from Residency Road to Jayanagar, right? Is it, which tax is liable? Why IGST is liable? No, location of customer is, your vendor is in Hyderabad, right? So this is a deemed transactions. Actual movement is not required. So where your supplier, the person with whom you have entered into a contract will decide the transaction, not the person whom you have consigned the goods is important, right? So you have entered into a contract with the Hyderabad person. So somebody was asking, Madam, how it is possible from Jayanagar to Residency Road, you are asking me to pay IGST. So I think I said, see, whenever you are reading place of supply, don't apply your logics. Not only place of supply, don't apply your analytics. You have to forget all your analytics, you have to forget all your logics, you have to forget what earlier law was there. You have to look from the, whatever is mentioned in the law, we are binded by that law, right? So we have to pay the IGST, right? So I think this is very, I've seen a few of the entities when I was verifying from the perspective of internal audit, I have seen that lot of hotels are charging IGST. Lot of hotels which are situated outside the state are charging IGST. I have lot of expenses. I think you can also look into that. Lot of expenses are there. Say, hotel is located in Jaipur, hotel is located in Delhi, and I am located in Bangalore. So when I go there and stay, I try to give my GST and let us see what is wrong in that. And they are charging you the IGST. And these people are enjoying that IGST credit. But which tax he has to charge actually? He has to charge only CGST, SGST. Why? Because the property is located where? The property is located in the respective state. Where is the supplier located? Supplier is also located in the same state. So for the place of supply, two important aspects are there. One is location of supply, and the next is place of supply. If these both are in same state, you have to charge intra tax. If both are in a different state, you have to charge a IGST. So now what to do? I have already taken the credit. What do you suggest? Whether the government can levy again them the CGST, SGST? Can they levy CGST, SGST to them? Huh? No, everything in government account. Everything in government only, I'm saying. See, revenue neutrality cannot be applicable in every instances. What they were supposed to pay, they have not paid. That's why we have something called as Section 77, which states that if you have paid a wrong taxes, you again pay the correct taxes and claim the refund of wrong. That's what they have stated. Because India is a federal country, the revenue has to be shared between the states based on the destination, so accordingly, the levy has to be correct, right? Otherwise, Karnataka will lose that. Yes or no? Karnataka is giving you the excess credit, which is not eligible. Karnataka is reducing its revenue because of this. So that's why I think that's the reason they have brought that law. So that is what we have to understand, right? Now, inter-branch transactions. Lot of cross-charge are happening around. I think there is a recent circular also which has given a more clarity on the aspect of how to charge cross-charge. What is cross-charge actually? See, we have multiple units all across India. We have different GSTN all across the India in a different branches. Under the same PAN, can you take multiple registration? Yes. So different state will have different GSTN. If you are charging something from state Karnataka A to state Maharashtra, what it is? It's a supply. Now, what is this cross charge? I want to cross charge certain of my services from head office to a branch office. Say for example, I have taken an auditor services from here. Auditor has done the audit for all the branches, but he has invoiced only to a head office. But this is pertaining to all the branches which are located in respective states. Now, how to pass on that credit? The way to pass on the credit is you have to get registered as a input service distributors, because you will be just taking that credit and distributing that credit based on the turnover ratios. Right? So I think these are the principles which is to be looked into whenever you are going to reconcile with your books of accounts. You will be seeing, array, how come it is showing as a supply, whereas we don't have that sale in our income tax book. So this is also one of the reason for your differences. Sale of food to employees. How much time I have? 5 minutes. Okay, I'll just rush it then. I think I'll just finish this and then I'll go to the classes. Sale of food to the employees, I think we have already discussed. You have to just, it's more or less self-explanatory. I think I've just added some of the entries. You can just look. I'll just go through the clauses which are important to understand from the tax audit perspective. One clause of this I was able to get into this. These are the general documentations you have to collect when you are doing this, especially reporting of these clauses. It is asking nature of business or profession. If more than one business or profession is carried on during a previous year, nature of every business. If there is any change in the nature of business. So if you have added any additional place of business, you have to report here, as well as please check in your GSTN portal whether that amendment has been made in the registration or not, right? So this has to be reconciled whenever you are going to fill this column of your tax audit report. Any warehouse is added, any other additional place of business. I think few of them are not doing this, but please start doing this. This will help you out to give a positive, better suggestions to your entity. Then they are also asking the GSTN number. I think that you can look into that. Then there is also income which they are trying to identify which are not there in your profit and loss account. What can be your item which will not be there in your profit and loss account? There might be certain capital receipts, there can be certain refund amount, there can be certain escalation claims which you have recorded from your vendors. So all these items can become part of your 16D, and also you have to see is there any implication of that. So I was just trying to catch up certain balance sheet items. Say for example, if it is a capital accounts, please check all the debits and credits and check is there anything which is not there as a part of profit and loss. Sometimes we book as our income in our capital account. So is there anything which you can just see? Loan accounts, current liabilities, branch accounts. I think these are all the accounts which you have to look into this whenever you are going to identify the items which are not there as a part of your profit and loss accounts. I've just reported here. And there is something clause, I think this is one of the clause which they have used, that whether any land or building or both is transferred during the previous year for a consideration less than the value adopted. I think this will help only to the entities who are dealing in these real estates. So for them, I think you can just look into the value what they have adopted, because for the purpose of GST, if there is any agreement which is made with the customers during the construction stage, it is liable for GST. So I think you can just look into the value which has been adopted in such cases. Then this is also one of the important item, depreciation as per your income tax account. So basically we try to look into that. Along with that, you can also look the GST aspect also, what is the depreciation claim, what is the written down value, so that it will help you out whenever you are going to dispose such specified assets, right? And then next is this 21A. This is the most important clause which the GST department is reading actually. Because this is having a bifurcation of capital expenditure, personal expenditure, advertisements, all these entrance fees, club cost. I think here they are trying to identify how much is your personal expenditure and to what extent you are claiming as an ineligible credit, because to the extent you are used for your personal purpose, you are not eligible for credit. So be careful whenever you are mentioning this clause. So I've just added up here, any block credit is there, any mobile phone, all that we have discussed. Then there is one more clause in clause 23. It is asking for your particulars of payments made to a person specified under section 48(2)(b), that is a related party transaction. Please understand the related party transaction for income tax is different. The related party transaction for GST is different. So please look into the payments which is applicable to a related party, which is also there in income tax as well as in GST. I think you have to just look, because there is a special valuation rules for the related party transactions or associated enterprise. So this is what the rule 27 to rule 31 which has given it. So this has to be always go in a chronological order. If open market value is not there, then you have to identify what is the value of goods. All this is specified. If not, then you have to take cost plus 110%. If not, then you have to go with the residual rule, right? Then this is also one of the entities like clause 41, details of demand raised or refund issued during the previous year under any laws. So here the issue is which detail you are going to fulfill. Is it only pertaining to 22-23 or any demand pertaining to the previous year also? The auditor should get a copy of all the demand and refund orders issued by GST authorities during the previous year. It can be pertaining to 17, 18, 18, 19, 19, 20 as the case may be. You have to fill the details pertaining to those year also. And even refund of VAT and service tax should also be added here. Please understand, because it is saying any other law other than income tax law. So any other law can be your VAT law also, service tax law also, or GST law also, right? And such demand and refund should be shown. Any adjustment to the refund with the demand should also be reported. Now is the heart of this tax audit report. This is clause 44. I'll take another 5 minutes, sir, with your permission. This, I think, this is the third time I'm talking on this clause. It had come in 2017-18. Then somehow because of this practical difficulties and pandemic time, it got deferred and it is operative from 21-22, right? So based on that, I think this is the second year. Last year, I remember most of the tax auditors, I think it came in somewhere August. So most of the tax auditors, they have written a note, not possible. Yes, yes or no? I think most of us have come out with the, and few of them have made an attempt and given in that. But I've always advised, if you're not getting the complete informations, please don't fill incomplete informations. Rather you say we are not able to arrive that clause or arrive that figure. So based on the limited informations, we are able to get these figures. See what they are asking. You tell me what is the relevance of this clause, you tell me first. It is asking the breakup of total expenditure of entities registered or not registered under the GST Act. And how it is asking total amount of expenditure incurred during the year, and that has to get bifurcated between your vendors who are exempted, your vendors who are under composition scheme, your vendors who are other than that registered entities, and how much payment you have made to these entities. And there is one more column which is asking you to fill expenditure relating to entities not registered under GST. How much work is required, you tell me, to extract these informations, right? Because this is not the same similar format we have for GST. The format itself is different, the extraction of data itself is different. And I think from some of you who knows the GST law, I think you would have seen so many phases of the returns. GSTR 2A, GSTR 2B, DRC 1, DRC 2, DRC 3, all this, 1A, 1B, 1C, 1D, all these are coming around. So lot of returns, lot of facilitation tools are getting added in this. So, but this information we are not able to capture. What we can do? Can we write not applicable? Can we write this as a not applicable? No. Then your report is not complete. Your report is not true and fair then. Then how are we going to work on this? What information you have to get from your taxpayer? You have to get all these informations, whichever I've just tried to add here for the chart where you can get it. Is it required, filing of tax audit is required for clause 44? Yes, no doubt in that. Is it applicable for audit report after 1422? Yes, no doubt. Applicable to prior to 1422 if not filed, but if you are filing now, is it applicable? Yes, it is applicable. Applicable for revised tax audit report? Yes. Applicable even if GST audit report is not mandatory, right? And applicable to all these entities except who is opting for a presumptive taxation, that is 44 AD, AE and AF. And then turnover less than 10 crores. 10 crores where your cash receipts are not exceeding 5%. I think this is the best exception they have given, right? So at least they have removed this small. You can just test check the cash receipts and accordingly you can decide to fulfill this clause 44. Basically, please understand, you have to bifurcate your expenditure between capital expenditure, revenue expenditure, and both has to be disclosed. It's not only meant for revenue expenditure, even the capital expenditure should also be disclosed in your clause 44. And whether your expenditure is including ITC or excluding ITC, whether you have inbuilt the cost of credit in your expenses or not, you are required to disclose that expenditure. Sorry. Then whether detailed expenditure or summary expenditure. Is it a summary or detail we have to give? Is it enough we give a summary? Just a summary total, can we do that? No, you have to give a detailed list of expenses. Reverse charge expenditure, where you are paying under reverse charge, yes, it is required. All this Ola, Uber, everything is required. Now, what is not required according to me? I think everybody can have a different views on this, but I felt for this it may not be required. If you have any other thought, you can tell me. Depreciation, you need not take the click. I will share this presentation, right? I'll share this. Depreciation, not required. Provision for bad debts, all this expenditure I felt that you cannot bifurcate what for the clause 44. So I think these are the expenses which I felt is not required to be disclosed in your clause 44, though it becomes part of your revenue expenditure or capital expenditure, right? Just for an easy identification, I've just bifurcated this. Then expenditure relating to goods or service exempt from tax. Please look whether it is an exempt supply under the GST or non-taxable supply, because non-taxable supply is also forming part of your exempt supply. So like fuel charges, alcohol, all that you can add up, right? Then expenditure relating to entities falling under composition scheme. Just check, there are some invoices. Please understand, if he is a registered person and if he has not charged the taxes, I believe he will be a composition supplier, because only the composition supplier is given the benefit of getting registered but not collecting the taxes from the customer. So you can just look into, and basically those entities will issue a bill of supply. They will not issue the tax invoice, they will issue the bill of supply. So wherever bill of supplies are there, you can just look into as a composition scheme or exempt supply also. Then expenditure relating to entities not registered. So how to identify this? You have to get the expenditure where there is no GSTN. If there is no GSTN, it means he is a unregistered. And import of goods, you cannot get GSTN. Import of services, you cannot get. Import of goods from SCZ, unregistered, mercantile purchase, high sea sale. I think in this scenario, you may not get the details of registration. So I think you can take it as an entry where it is not registered, right? So this is what I can take it out. So last slide, this is there in your tax audit guidance note. You can read from that. They have very properly given how you can prepare a statement bifurcating the expenditure and accordingly disclose for clause 44. So I think this is what I've tried to add up. So last slide of this day, can you just tell me whether clause 44 is required or not? GST purchase 5%, yes or no? Just you can just tell me. All these purchases of 5%, 12%, 18%, is it required to be disclosed in clause 44? Yes or no? Yes or no? Either one answer is okay. Expenditure includes your purchase also? Yes or no? Anything is fine. No? Why are you with? It's nothing to worry. Yes or no? Yes. Import of goods, services? Where? Which category? I'm asking the category. where he's not a registered, right? Freight inward, yes, if he's a registered. Vehicle insurance, packing material, yes, advertisement, vehicle, audit fees, bad debt written off, traveling expenses, yes, computer maintenance, yes, conveyance, transport charges, courier, depreciation, no, telephone and mobile, yes, electricity, electricity under which expense? Exempted. Go down rent, yes, repairs and maintenance. Interest on loan? Interest on loan? Huh? It's a exempt. Interest on loan is exempt supply, right? So you have to mention. Office expense, yes. Stationery, yes. Foreign exchange gains or loss? No. Loss on sale of assets? No. Salary expenses? Provision for bad debts? Gratuity? Legal charges? Why? Though we are paying under reverse charge. Printing, okay. Professional tax? No. Partner's remuneration? No. Right. So, right, I think I fulfilled my objective of class 44. Right, I think this was the, in brief, I was able to highlight on this class 44. Thank you, Bangalore branch of ICI, for giving me an opportunity. Anybody has any questions? Otherwise, yeah, I'll just take up.
Thanks for asking if we are not maintaining books of account in case of presumptive taxation, why you are saying for GST it is compulsory?
See, in GST, there is nothing like a presumptions or provisions. There is no system of presumption taxation in GST. GST is a very broader levy. See, there is something called as best judgment assessments which the government is doing whenever you are not maintaining the books of accounts. Then they will do it on a guesswork and estimates, and accordingly they will levy the taxes. So it is always, and again it becomes a non-compliances. Section 122(1) says that if you are not maintaining the books of accounts, it can lead into a penalties. So I think as per the requirement of the law, you have to maintain the books of accounts which has been specified by the law. So you cannot take an escape. There is only a taxation mechanism which is given in income tax. We don't have such mechanism in the GST law. Only the officers have been given the power to assess the books of accounts. If no books of accounts, then they will assess based on the guesswork and estimates, right, under 62 and 63. Yes, so I think books of accounts are very mandatory, though it may not be a conclusive evidence, but it will act as an evidence for assessment and concluding that proceedings, actually. Yes.
If mobiles are purchased for gift purpose in the business, input tax is eligible now.
What you say, ma'am?
Not if you take input again, you will have to pay output tax also.
Yes. Yes, there is a recent ruling which has been given by Karnataka advanced ruling just I think 10 days back in Orient case, where they have said that if you have paid an output and it is in the course of business and where you have availed the credit, then you have to pay output tax on that and take the credit. Otherwise, you have to reverse your input tax credit based on 17 subsection 5 of the GST Act. And gift up to 50,000 only for employees they have given, not for others, right? Yeah. Yeah. So that's what you please read that ruling. They have discussed what is business promotion and all. If you can go to this Karnataka advanced ruling, just last week only it has come, like Orient case. Yes, anything else? Any other questions?
In small business where we are not filing annual GST returns, and if any mistake happened in the past at the time of filing returns, his client has not provided invoices or something like that, it come to know at the time of statutory audit. So in the, we do rectification entry over there, but GST.
See, what you can do is, yeah. No, what is there is, below 2 crore, they have given an option to file the return. They have not stopped you from filing the return. So if you have not filed the returns, and during your statutory audit, if you find out any liability, you can pay through DRC3. There is something called as voluntarily payment of taxes based on your own assessment. So I think you can make it through DRC3 and escape from future interest and penalties, right? If you pay voluntarily, I think you will escape the penalties of this 10% or 100%. If the notice is issued and then you are making a payment, then if you have not made payment within 30 days, you will end up paying 10% of penalty or 100% of penalty depending upon the fact of the case. Right? So I think you can escape the penalties if you pay it voluntarily, but you have to pay along with the interest at 18%. Yes, madam. Yes, yes. You can file.
Without penalty.
Huh?
Without penalty, ma'am. Without penalty.
See, actually, I think till August 31st, we had a scheme. Actually, it was there up to June. They further extended to August 31st, where they have given voluntarily filing of the GSTR 9 and 9C without any late fee or very minimal late fee, actually. So I think that opportunity, if you would have missed, but you can still try with the late fees. As of now, I don't
We voluntarily filed GSTR 9 and it did not calculate the penalty, so you can try.
that is what it is inbuilt already. Late fees, it is not calculating. That is what the scheme they have given. No, it was there up to 31st August. They have not extended further. It was there till June. Again, they further extended to 31st August. Till now, I have not seen any notification where they have further extended. So that was a welcome, actually. It was like a amnesty scheme which they have given for all this restoration of registration, filing of your return. So that way, many of them have utilized that opportunities, actually, and saved the late fees. Yes. So I think, sorry, I've exceeded little time, but I thank you all for patience listening, and I enjoyed sharing with you. Thank you, one and all. Once again, let us clap for ourselves. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. It was a very really wonderful session. I think so. No one slept at this moment, I believe. So, I call upon CA Mani Kumari to please hand over a memento to our speaker. Thank you, ma'am. We'll immediately start with the next session.